While it may be cold outside, things are getting toasty warm at Global Voice Broadcasting. Heat up your winter nights with the hottest topics, the hottest celebrities, and today's best music. It's why Global Voice Broadcasting is becoming your 24/7 home for the music and talk you want right now. Discover your favorite shows and music anytime at globalvoicebroadcasting.com.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kennon Wesley Mason.
February is Black History Month. But why? Where did Black History Month come from? It began with this man, Carter G. Woodson, a historian and writer. Woodson noticed that his people were, quote, overlooked, ignored, and even suppressed by the writers of history textbooks and the teachers who use them, end quote. So he started a Black History Week in 1926. And people celebrated it enthusiastically. They started Black History Clubs, and teachers started recognizing the contributions of Black Americans in their classrooms. He chose February, by the way, because it held the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, two men he believed had done tremendous work for the rights and liberties of African Americans. It took another 50 years, though, for Black History Month to become officially recognized by our government. The president at the time, Gerald Ford, said that we should seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Here's the funny thing, though. Carter G. Woodson hoped that someday people would no longer celebrate Black History Month. He saw the day when it would no longer be necessary, when finally we would see Black history in America for what it really is, an essential part of American history.
Hello, world. How is everybody today? Once again, welcome to Aim to Purpose, the radio show. I am your host, Louise Hicks.
And I am your co-host, Kennon Mason, and I want to say, as always, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone listening and watching Aim to Purpose, the radio show. As always, you can call in from anywhere around the world, 1-323-522-5482. From anywhere around the world, 1-323-522-5482. As we continue to acknowledge Black History Month. Today's topic, We Are Black History, showcasing youth who are continuing the legacy. And that's what we're doing today, and that's what we've been doing for the entire month of February, continuing the legacy, the great legacy that is Black and historic.
And this is the fourth week of us celebrating Black History Month. We have a great guest lineup for you today, as always, and we're excited to say we have our guest from last week back to continue with us, Miss Kara L Poole. And we're excited to have Kara back because last week we wanted to ask her some questions and we didn't get a chance to. So we're excited to have her back. And we have a new guest with us as well in our studio. And we're going to share some great historical information with you and insight about Black history, which we know there is so much extraordinary history about Black history and what we have contributed to America. And we showed you the video clip at the top of the hour, which gave you insight on what is it and where did Black history really come from. And we did talk a little bit about that last week also. And we're glad to talk about this topic, We Are Black History, showcasing youth who are continuing the legacy. And these are our youth, actually. They are young, vibrant, young people who are really accelerating in our society. They are creators, and it's what better way to continue the legacy than to have young people to carry on the legacy and create history, more history for the next generation to come so that they will know and be creators. So with that being said, we have our guest in the studio today, and what we're going to do is go right into it. Before we take a break, we're going to share with you a little bit about our guest, in-house guest. I've already shared with you a little bit about Kara. So we're going to talk about our first guest.
Yes.
And then we'll share something about Kara since she's been a guest already.
Yes, President and CEO Imani Akil, who is not only an artist on the label of True Spitters Certified, that he launched in August of 2012 in Southern California, but Imani is also one of the top producers and engineers in the field. He had a vision and passion for all music, but saw how hip-hop music played a very important role in his community, and also how the industry was abusing that power, as well as the artists who keep that energy going. So Akil set out to truthfully make a difference. True Spitters was formed from this to be a platform for those who are just that, the realest of the real. True Spitters Certified was incorporated in 2014. True Spitters has evolved from a two-member group of cutting-edge artists to a powerhouse family of creativity as envisioned in its conception. The entire group has been collaborating with a host of known and underground infamous artists, photographers, promoters, models, fashion designers, and so on all sorts of projects, and having fun doing so. Let's give a warm, aimed at purpose welcome to President and CEO of True Spitters Certified, Mr. Imani Akil.
Hello, Imani, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you on the program today, and we are just excited about Miss Kara. So, Miss Kara, you were on last week, so tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to just start digging into, as you say, we're going to talk some history here today.
All right, about myself?
Yes.
Well, I'm the creator and producer of The Great Griot.
Yes.
Which, if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, it's a YouTube series where we go back and talk about Black history and Black history about revolutionary leaders, Black liberation leaders. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's on YouTube. It's called The Great Griot. That's Griot. And that's what I do. That's what my team, we put our passion and our heart into, is creating these history videos so that youth, adults, everyone can enjoy and understand our history and importance of it.
It's informative and it's entertaining at the same time. So it kind of keeps you there, because not only are you giving the people the historical truths, but you're making it entertaining as well. Right. So that's a definite plus.
Thank you.
And go on our YouTube channel, Aimed to Purpose Radio. That's AIMED, the number 2, radio. And you can see the interview from last week that we had with Kara, which we brought you Black history from the Black perspective. And Miss Kara is an actress, producer, and the creator of The Great Griot. Or Griot, as you want to pronounce it.
French or English, it don't matter.
French or English, you said. So It's out there on YouTube, so go out and check out that amazing interview we had with Kara last week, and that's why we wanted to bring her back. So, Imani, we're so happy to have you here. You are an extraordinary young man, and I look at you guys as the youth of today because of what you guys bring to history. And I know you talk about True Spitters, and how did you come up with that name, in fact, and why did you name your organization True Spitters?
It's an interesting story. It's pretty funny. It really was spur of the moment. My co-founder / girlfriend, Lovey Elise, we were in a Facebook group. It was a cipher group where you get online and you post your lyrics and bars and all that kind of stuff, and people critique and give their opinion about it. And when we first joined, we kind of created a lot of noise in that, and we ruffled up some feathers with the things that I guess we were saying and the attention we were getting from it. And the person that created the group actually ended up kicking us out of the group.
Wow.
And the people in the group invited us back in, and then same thing happened, and he kicked us back out the group for a second time. So myself, I was extremely upset, and Lovey was doing her thing. I didn't even know what she was doing, and she was out of nowhere, it was like, babe, calm down, we have True Spitters now. Right. And it literally started like that, just a Facebook group where people can come and share their music and their art and their poems and their lyrics and stuff like that. But I guess just the energy and the vibe that we brought to it, and it just grew. And each month after that, just more people were getting involved. And before you know it, we had our own radio show through that group, that was on every Thursday. And Lovey was actually the co-host. Our co-host was in Texas, so it'd be nice. So it was interesting. Kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I've met Miss Lovey, and we intend to have her on the show too. Definitely. Very articulate young lady, very inspirational, motivational, and we will have her on the show. And that's interesting how you say you kept getting kicked out.
Yeah, kept getting kicked out.
And then you came back in, and I like that name, True Spitters.
Yeah.
And it's positive because I've had an opportunity to meet with you and talk to you, and all of the positiveness that you guys are exploding with, which is great because you are mentors to young people.
Yes.
And that's what we need. We need these positive mentors. And I know you said that there were times when artists would come to you and they would say, oh, we want to make it out of the hood. How can we do this? What can we do? So what was your response to these young people?
My response is, first and foremost, you got to have some type of belief in the Creator, our Father. Without Him, nothing is possible. I try and stress that, but also, a unity aspect, family. Takes a village type of thing. Especially in the hood, if you want to call it that. I'm from Northwest Pasadena. Okay, so there's a big difference between Northwest Pasadena and one street away. It looks completely different. There's a lot of violence going on, a lot of recent killings and shootings and drive-bys and all that kind of stuff just within the last few months. And it takes a village. It takes a community of leaders that band together and demand a change. With the youth, it's difficult because most of them don't see a hope. And then the things that they are doing that we might see as an issue, they don't see a problem with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So because they're so accustomed to doing it. So that's another thing. Well, you want me to come over here and do this, but I'm over here having fun. What's the problem? That's all they're concerned with.
Right.
So it's about giving them another way, but actually showing them that there's a benefit to it. There's a better way, even though this way may seem the thing at the time. It's a real short road. So that's what I encourage. I encourage family and unity. You can't really do anything without your brother, and you have to have somebody, backing you up, and vice versa.
Yeah, and you're about uplifting, because that's what we need. And I know you were saying something about giving back, and I know in one of the statements in your bio you had said something about the artists in the community, when they do get out, sometimes they come back.
Yes.
And I know on the show last week, Kara, you might want to chime in whenever you feel like it, but we had kind of talked about it being a way of life.
Right.
And like what you just said, Imani, these kids, a lot of times, they don't see what they're doing because they don't have a clue.
Right.
So what you're doing is influencing, and you're creating a way of life to show them that the music, which comes from us, and I want you to talk a little bit about that too, Kara, on music, because I know you do a lot of research on this, where music originated. We are music, really.
Yes.
Right.
And how do you get these young people to understand that what you are expounding upon them is a way out of the hood, as opposed to the drugs, and that's killing a lot of young people now, legal and illegal drugs for that matter. So how do you bridge that gap to help and show them the way?
By showing a common interest, a genuine common interest in what they're doing, and then they have to see that you're passionate about whatever it is you're trying to get them to do. It can't. They can tell fake from from a mile away. They can sniff it.
Yeah.
While Oz is coming. So you have to be authentic. You have to be real, and you have to be relatable. And that's really, music is the the biggest bridge, for any gap, I believe, in any culture. Because it's already bridged that. It's already bridged that gap from overseas. Just music alone, whether it's hip hop or rock or jazz, blues, whatever it is, music as a whole has already done that. So I feel like, for me, being someone who's heavily involved in that and being a creator of music, I have to use that to it's the best thing I know how to do. Yeah.
And you have to be relatable. What you said is so true and authentic, because young people can pick up on your lies, to put it bluntly, from a mile away. It's like a baby. They see reality, and when they see you're talking, you're not walking the talk, you're not talking the talk, but you are telling them one thing, but yet they see something else. That's not going to go over too well with young people.
Their whole lives, they've been approached by salesmen their whole lives.
Yeah.
On T, we're the biggest consumer. So, people are selling us things every day.
Oh, yeah.
Selling us all kinds of stuff. So
we are. And talk about that consumer, because I think you did a video on something to that effect, I believe, about us consuming and how we consume.
Well, I did one on America's Wealth. I did want to ask you about your rap, just speaking the limited knowledge I know about the history of hip-hop, but I know that hip-hop, when it first started, it was just way more political. My guy friend now, he produces music, and when he started playing some rap beyond what I knew from early hip-hop, I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh, rap was introducing you to some people, Khalid Muhammad, and it was introducing you to some revolutionary people.
Right.
They were really speaking, they were the voice of our circumstance.
Right.
They were explaining our circumstance beyond what a lot of people in the hood could explain it or even understand, from a global perspective, from a national perspective, whatever have you. So when I was talking to him, because I had a very different, tailored type of understanding of Black history growing up, which was very, reformist. Martin Luther King pushed down my throat a lot, which nothing wrong with him. I respect that ancestor.
Right.
But he had a depth of knowledge that was beyond his world. And I used to ask him, how did you know this stuff? He knew it. He said, I was introduced to a lot of this, some from his parents because they were very aware, but was like hip hop. They understood their circumstances. They had knowledge where, somebody like me growing up didn't have knowledge in some of these areas. So, doing stuff like you're doing, old school hip hop, a lot of these people in the hood were aware of their circumstances.
Yes.
They knew.
Yes.
So I was just going to ask you, you said you were going back to, or you were trying to change the game, because I know today is
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
because we are not uplifting. We're not building with some of the hip hop I've heard. I wouldn't let my children listen to it coming up today.
Right.
Because it's nothing but negative. It's degrading. It's exploiting. I saw a video on today on one of the groups on Facebook, and it was such an exploiting video until I could not fathom anybody. And these were adults out here edging on these children to do these things, obscenity, really bordering on pornography. That's what it was. And I'm saying is this, if this is what we're teaching our children, how do we expect to come out of the struggle or talk about the inequalities, the economic inequality, the social inequality, when we are contributing to it?
Well, one way I definitely look at it as is, you know, hip hop is it's a culture.
Right.
It's a culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just music, and it's a variety of different elements within hip hop that it makes it even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe what happened is history is repeating itself. It became marketable, and it became a business, just like our ancestors and our people.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you see happening now already happened to us, just in a different way. It's happening with the music. Now you have the corporate world and you know the top 1% and 2%ers that sees it as a business, and they maneuver their way in and they take control. You know, there's only maybe 3 or 4 record companies that control all of the music, radio, and everything that you hear now.
Yep.
It's only 2 or 3, and it's the same in media, in news, and all of that. It's the same 4.
It's become a monopoly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, that's where I come in.
Right.
You know, that's where I provide that opportunity for people like me, my generation or younger. I'm aiming for the youth. Because they're the ones that's the future, you know what I mean? So, you know, I graduated from Los Angeles Film School, so I'm an audio engineer. That's really my expertise when it comes to music. So I want to offer that knowledge and provide that for the youth. I have a number of musicians within True Spitters, from piano players to guitar players to bass, you know, drums. So we're actually working on programs to provide that to the youth. Teaching business, the business side of it.
Oh,
you know,
yes, because
earning
that's
your own-
vital.
That's key.
The business part, because I was
Yeah.
looking at a documentary last night that came on, I think, a week or so ago about James Brown. He may not have been formally educated in the school system, and the school system really doesn't educate you anyhow. It's a miseducation, actually.
Yeah.
But James Brown was a true businessman.
Yeah.
This man was smart. He knew how to facilitate himself in any type of setting.
Yeah.
And the music back then, before hip-hop came about like it is prevalent today, it had a message, like what you were saying, Kara. It had a message in it, and today it was actually a positive message on helping to elevate, not to pull us down, but to pull us up. And that's what that music was all about. And from what I'm hearing, Imani, that's what your True Spitters is doing.
Yeah.
You guys are about elevating the young people and pulling them up. And we see these images out here now when young people, we are a product of our environment.
Yes.
And what about the images that young people see today from some of these artists? And when they come on TV in these award shows, they are talking about giving back, but what they're giving back is not always positive.
Right.
And it's creating nothing but children going to juvenile detention centers and prison, and they're building more because they know that that's the train we're on.
Yeah.
So what about these images? Both of you and Kara can address that.
I mean, it's the control, you know, and it's the money that's involved with it. It's the business. Unfortunately, you know, it really all comes down to that. It's sad what they're doing to specifically our black family, you know, and our black men. It's really sad how they're using the images that they're portraying on TV, in the rap videos, and, you know, in commercials, and then even in print ads, you know, showing this division. I mean, for example, the top TV show out right now, Empire.
Yes.
The the what's her name? Taraji P.
Yes,
Didn't
Henson.
she just win? Didn't she just win an award?
She did.
I'm not sure.
She's probably now one of the most recognizable black actresses
Right.
out there now,
Right.
and her character is probably one of the famous characters.
Yeah.
Cookie.
Cookie Lyons, and it's a dysfunction in regards to the marriage and you
Right.
know and every show that you see on TV is like that. It's not just hip hop, you know. Hip hop is definitely a big thing, you know, especially the extremeness of it. But you know, how many black men or male actors do we have to see wear a dress?
I know.
Right.
You know, it's just the destruction of the black male image and the black
Yes.
family at the end of the day. For me, I do encourage one to be themselves, but I try and encourage them to find that on their own without all the influences. You know, keep a tight knit circle around you.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Stay away from that too. You know, that YouTube sometimes, and find yourself. You know, find your own creative, artistic expression. You know, make sure it's authentic. But yeah, it's the media. It's all of that.
And I like what you said, find yourself, because that's key to it, really, is finding who you are. Once you know who you are, you know what your passion is, go out and create something positive that can uplift your community, uplift your people. Here we are, we're celebrating, this is the 4th weekend of Black History Month. I wonder how many black people have done something on a daily basis, not just the month of February,
Right.
but 365 days, or 366, I guess, when it's a leap year, which is this year. I think
Right.
it is a leap year.
Yes, it is.
How many of us are doing something to uplift on a daily basis? Let Black history be a way of life.
Right.
And not just celebrate it. It's good that we are embracing our history this month. But Carter G. Woodson was so proud of what we had contributed to this country until he saw fit to celebrate it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to make an impact on a daily basis and find yourself. I love what you said. Find yourself and find out what it is you're good at and do it.
Yes.
Nothing negative, but the positive side of life,
Yeah.
because that will take you far, because there's something called karma. And when you do things that are not in your best interest, or you harm other people, it's going to come back. That is my perspective and my belief. So I mean, we got to reach out, and that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, Kara. When you do these great video clips, you're reaching out, and I love the one, like I said, you did on wealth. And when we talk about some of these TV shows, what do you suggest parents do? Because you're not going to stop the shows, because it's a reality. It's money in it. It's profit. It's all about the business. But it's up to us as individuals, isn't it?
Yes.
As parents,
Definitely.
and as an individual ourselves, to separate the reality from the la la land.
Yeah. Definitely, yes.
Right.
So what do you say to that?
Yeah, please.
Oh, I was going to say that one of the videos I did do was about the media and how much propaganda is with it. And it's 6 companies, like you said, that own 90%, 90% of the world's media, like not just television,
Yep.
radio,
All of it. Television,
publications,
magazines,
everything.
books.
Right. 90%, which is that's
huge.
you control the minds of the masses.
That's
So
right.
if you have propaganda, then it's easy to control the minds of the masses, and as soon as you put it out there and you back it up with what they see in magazines, televisions, radio, you know, I will say we have some powerful rappers today who are still really, you know, doing positive message, you know. But if the 90%, or who controls the 90%, does not want that message to be heard, it's so easy to shut them out, you know, and that's what we do see. But I do have one question, and I don't know how many people saw this. Speaking of hip hop, speaking of being political with it, how many people in here saw Kendrick Lamar's performance at the Grammys?
Oh, yeah.
What did y'all
Yes.
think?
Yeah.
Powerful.
Well, I want to speak to that. I'm glad you
Okay.
brought it up. But I'm going to segue into it by going back to history of hip hop, because you mentioned about, you know, how things are so sexualized in hip hop today. Well, history tells us that that's nothing new, because we had Two Live Crew, we had Too Short, but we had a balance of having that and having a Public Enemy, or having an X-Clan, or Paris, or Poor Righteous Teachers. You had a balance. Now the only balance that we have had until just recently was Common. You know, that's all we had, or within the last maybe 5 to 10 years. Now we have J. Cole, Lupe Fiasco, and you mentioned Kendrick Lamar, who gave, how can I say, a picture perfect performance, letting the world know that Africa as a whole collective consciousness is coming to hip hop to take over, maybe, because he's opening us new space now for this kind of message to be heard that hasn't been heard in about 2 decades. We haven't had this kind of message. The music is great. It's put together in a way, with him being a protege, the newest protege of billionaire almost now, Dr. Dre, who is probably one of the best people in hip hop history. So when you have that kind of a backing, you're almost like you're destined to do great things. And he proved that by doing that kind of performance, not being afraid to put on the shackles, not being afraid to be in a jail cell setting, which is the ultimate stereotype of black men. Being in jail, being incarcerated, being held back from being their ultimate selves. So you have Kendrick Lamar taking us through for 5 full minutes, taking us through our own history, putting it in the face of black people, putting it in the face of white people, putting it in the face of all of America.
Everybody.
So they can see that we're here, but now we're trying to go here now. We're trying to go to a new place.
That's right.
That hip-hop has never seen, or at least this generation, because it needs to happen. Obviously, they allowed him to do it. And then they wanted to talk about Beyonce's performance.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that next.
So now it's like it's quiet as kept, but there is a collective kind of thinking mastermind going on somewhere where this kind of message can be delivered to the masses, because it obviously is getting all of us talking.
Yeah.
So he did his job.
It was brilliant as far as I'm concerned. It was brilliantly done, and I saw him as how he formulated everything. It was just brilliant. It brought a new consciousness to people, and here I am. Everybody probably knows my age now because I'm always talking about it. I'll be 65 on March 4th. And I tell you, there are people my age now. That's why I wanted to do this show with young people, because there are people my age now. And I tell you, some of them think they are not just 1 foot in the grave, but half of their body is in the grave by now. Because some of us have given up on life. And it's so sad. It's pathetic. Because how are we going to influence our young people like what you guys are doing if we have half of our body in the grave and we've given up? And there is, anybody that knows me knows that there is no giving up in this warrior, Louise.
And we can tell that. Okay. She carries that warrior spirit.
I'm telling you. So it was brilliant. And I was at an event not too long ago where Professor Griff of Public Enemy and Brother Jay were there, of, was it
X-Clan.
X-Clan. And Brother Jay brought out the same thing about cleaning up this music, because we have to take ourselves to a new level of consciousness. Nobody is going to look out for you but you. As we were raised, and I was raised in Louisiana, that charity starts at home. If you're not going to get it at home, how do you expect that somebody else is going to care more about you than you care about yourself. And I'm so glad you brought it out, Ken and Imani, about young men. Young men got to step up to the plate. You got to become responsible, because another, we're going to go to commercial after this too. Another post I saw on Facebook, and I only look for things on Facebook that has some type of message in it or something that can build. There was this young guy sitting down with his pants down to his knees, and they call it sagging. And when you think about it, and someone said it was something to do with the prison system. Now, I don't know for sure that it had something to do with the prison system, sexuality call or whatever. And you look at that word sagging spelled backward. What does that spell? SAGGIN NIGGAS.
Right.
So I don't know who started it, but look what it's
I've
saying
heard Professor Griff
about
refer
us.
to that
Yeah,
before.
look what it is saying about us. So we have to change the perspective of how others look at us and give ourselves respect if we want respect from others. It comes from within us. So with that said, if you guys want to comment on that, and then we're going to go to a commercial.
Ladies first.
Okay, I totally agree with you. And tying it with the Kendrick Lamar thing, I think that collectively as Black people, I feel like if you look historically, there have been periods where Black people have kind of been lulled back to sleep. We've been redirected. You know, after Reconstruction or during Reconstruction, after the Civil War, we were lulled to a sleep. You know, we were being used and didn't know we were being used. And, you know, and then we woke back up during, you know, like the 60s again. You saw a big uprising with a lot of Black people. I say that to say that you talked about the last 2 decades where rap has gone. Not just looking at rap, but just historically looking at Black people who have been lulled back to sleep. And it feels right now, not just saying this because of the Kendrick Lamar, even though I watched it 50 times, but across the board, it does feel like Black people are saying, wait a minute. I mean, I know I've been sold one thing on the media. I know that they're telling me that the collective of Black people is making it to some grand progressive place, but I don't know if it's through social media or what, but Black people across the board, whether it's in hip hop, you know, what we're creating on the internet, but it seems like Black people are going through a kind of awakening to really look at our reality. So when I saw the Kendrick Lamar thing, I was like, he spoke true. First of all, I'm so into artistic stuff, and you know I edit, you know, so so I was like rewinding every clip,
pick up
like
every
oh my
nuance,
God. The symbolism, the creativity of what he used, and when he ended it with the Africa in the back. And I looked at the audience clip about 50 times as well to see, you know, Common was like, not Russell Simmons, but Ron, what's the other guy? You know, who got the 2 daughters, he had the show. God,
Reverend Ron?
Yes, he was like, now that's real.
Yeah.
But it feels like collectively across the board, like we are coming into another rebirth, and I think it's time, and we need to. So it's working. Like everybody who's putting in work and stuff, we need to, so that we can continue to reawaken the people around us.
That's right. That's right. So with that said, in our lives hanging on you young people, you got to carry that torch. As Muhammad Ali took that torch at that time, you got to carry it, because some of the older people have lost. They are still in the dark, and some of them don't want to come out. And you are helping the young people to see a new light.
Right.
And that is so awesome, and I commend you for it. And with that said, let's take a break.
Hello, world! It's a new year, which means new and live editions of Aim to Purpose, the radio show. We'll be sharing new ideas with new guests from around the world, revealing new truths with every new topic presented to you, the A2P Universe. So tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here at Global Voice Broadcasting at gvbstudios.com/show/A2P. You can also check out all of our archive shows on YouTube by typing in Aim to Purpose Radio. A special thank you to all the loyal viewers that have been with us from the beginning, and a big welcome and thank you to all the new viewers plugging into the A2P Universe. Your power lies within you. So let it loose. Once again, this is Kennon Wesley Mason, co-host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Hello, world. Once again, we're back. I'm your host, Louise Hicks of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and we are celebrating, as we said at the top of the hour, and you saw that great clip about Black History Month. Where did it come from? How did it all get started? And we are talking about We Are Black History, showcasing youth who are continuing the legacy today. And we have as our guest the great Griot, Miss L Poole, and the True Spitters CEO and founder, Mr. Imani Akil. Did I say that right?
Imani.
Imani Akil. So anyhow, we're going to move forward and talk some more. We're having a great conversation here because on this show, we have conversations. And we talk real talk to real people about real purpose here. And we were discussing before we went to a break, we were talking about the brilliant performance at the Grammys with, was it the Grammys?
Yeah,
the Grammys with Kendrick Lamar. That was brilliant, if I may say so myself. Wish I could have thought that up.
Oh, that creative team did a good job.
Very creative.
I do have a question. How, to even the Truth Spitters, how do we get a group or an individual artist to bring those kind of messages, or how do we bring more artists to bring that kind of a message to the masses? Because we've done it before. We had a who's who in hip hop once upon a time, where again you could go and be a fan of 2 Live Crew, but still a fan of NWA.
Right.
You know, how do we get that kind of a market back to where we can really get that certain message across? It's not for everyone, but there is a place for it. How do we get it to the forefront?
Well, everything, I think, especially in hip hop, there's cycles of it. So, like what you were speaking about, I feel like it's all energy at the end of the day, you know, and that's what I feel like our people are feeling now, and that's what we're awakening to, the energy. And in regards to hip hop, you know, it's difficult because if you look at Kendrick Lamar's story, you know, the way he, you know, Top Dog ENT is owned by Top Dog, the gentleman that started it and that signed them, and you know, but Kendrick's story is he was with this guy, took him and a few other artists, you know, and pretty much financed the whole thing, you know, gave him a place to stay, kept them off the street,
right,
you know, and paid for this and that, studio time, all of that. So, you know, we need more of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we need to encourage all of it. And I believe that what we've seen at the Grammys with Kendrick Lamar is one of the biggest steps for that to happen.
And can a conscious type of hip hop be profitable? Because we see all other forms of hip hop be profitable. Hip hop is $1 billion global industry.
Yes, I think definitely.
Yeah,
definitely, especially right now. Especially with our people waking up, and I mean that Africa with the Compton and was such a statement.
That was a statement.
You know, the best time.
How many kids were looking at that and just like puzzled?
Right.
Why did he have Compton on Africa?
Right.
You know, that thought, he just triggered that thought in millions of people's minds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So things like that is what it takes. God, you know, willing, I can reach that plateau, and he inspired me to do just you know, something even bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's where it starts. You have encourage yourself, encourage others, you know, and not be afraid to step outside the box, you know, and independence is key. And that was one thing that he had going, is his independence, and then finding Dr. Dre and all of that. But independence is everything for that. Because the industry is so dominated by
everything else.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I got it.
Makes sense too, because now is the time, and so many people, particularly high profile people such as what Beyonce did at the Super Bowl, we need them to step out of the box and have the courage to speak up. As they just said that some of the police officers in Florida, I believe it was, they're boycotting and don't want to, be
they don't want to protect
security and protect her, and because of what she stood for, which was not racist. It had nothing to do with racism. It had to do with knowledge, empowerment. And that's what we need in order for us to come on an economic and social equality footing. And when you have that fear of not stepping out and expressing what you feel, that's a problem. I find a problem with that. And for someone to call that racist, they have to be insane, or something is wrong with their brains, or maybe they must be the racist, because it was nothing racist about what she said or what she did. She was only bringing to the forefront an issue, political, social issue that has been going on for decades in this country. Is more embellished now, of course, because of social media and what people are doing with cell phones and tablets and iPads and so forth. But this has been going on for years, and it was nothing racist about it. And for them to say they are refusing to do their job, that is interesting.
And I think it's disheartening that they would have the audacity to say that you can't speak of the political ills that our sovereignty is causing your people.
Right.
And the moment that you speak about it, then you're racist.
Right.
And even one anchor who the guy was on who was on the Breakfast Club was interviewing with the television host.
Charlemagne.
Right. And one of the things she said that stuck out with me is, she said, if you want to mimic anybody, because they thought that she was mimicking the Black Panthers with the beret and the outfit, which she said she wasn't. I wish she would have had the courage to yes, I am.
Yeah, you
are. But I understand her stance. Not that I agree with her. I understand her stance, because a lot of other artists wanted to be more political in the past even, and they didn't have the courage to do it. But, she said, if you would have just mimicked, Martin Luther King or something like that, we would have been okay with that. And I think it's so disheartening, first of all, that they're not politically aware of what the Black Panther Party was about.
Right.
That they were about defending themselves against the ills of your society and what you're doing to us.
Right.
And then they started and implemented so many programs that the government mimicked afterwards, for Black people, but they started it. But she was ignorant about what the Black Panther Party was about. But then also to tell you, we should tell you who your leader's going to be, and you have you're okay to follow Martin Luther King because we don't feel threatened by that. We know that you'll take the ills that we give you. I just felt very disheartened with this Beyonce thing. Like, you can't tell us who our leaders are going to be. You can't tell us what stance to take and how to feel about the ills of this society and what it's doing to us.
Absolutely.
And, I wish you would have had, like I said, the audacity to say, yes, that's what I was doing. But anyway, more power to Beyonce for doing it.
Absolutely. And I applaud her.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I applaud her because we need more celebrities, people like her that are in this know what's going on in this society. Just because you've made it monetarily doesn't mean that you're any more accepted than I am. And I tell you who found that out later in his life. Sammy Davis Jr. found that out. And he voiced it before he died.
It's amazing that anytime a Black person or celebrity for that matter states some truth about our history, it's feared upon, and all of a sudden we're called all racist, this and that and the other. Muhammad Ali changed his entire name and identity over it, so he can tell the truths of Black people, and now he's revered like a god the globe over. So it's okay to tell our history. It's okay. It's nothing to fear. If anything, it's to be embraced, because everyone else came from our history. Everyone on this planet came through our history. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Learn about what we've done before and after we came here, because there's a rich history. I always say it, there's a rich history before slavery.
Sure, definitely.
We didn't exist at slavery. People think we existed. We started our existence at slavery. We were born on the ship. No, we had a rich history way before that.
I always said, once we realize that our history, learning our history, our true history, is what they really fear. Once we realize the power that we have in that, that's when I feel a change will really happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
yes, for the
the
better.
only ones that fear, any history is our true history, is the people that empower it now. Once we start learning that, start that empowerment, you know what I mean, that encouragement will start to build, and that energy will build, and it will happen.
And it will happen. It's
in all
building,
aspects. Yeah.
and particularly with the consciousness of the younger generation now.
And like they always say, that being, quote, pro-black does not mean, quote, anti-white.
Definitely not.
That's not what it is. It's about a certain love for you.
Right.
And I always say with history, we need to learn it for two reasons in two ways. We need to know, I believe that we need to study history for right now to know exactly where we are right now. I think we need to study post-colonial so we can know where black people stand. We can look back through history to see where we've been used, and we thought maybe it was progression and it wasn't. We need to study that, but you're right. We need to go beyond slavery after that so that we can understand, not so that we could really gloat today with ego that protects us from where we are today, but so that we could say, you guys, this is where we came from. We had our own sovereignty. We was the first with schools. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have people today who misunderstand education. That you like you said, you go to school, you're not really being educated.
No,
you're being indoctrinated.
That's
but
it.
we don't want you to think that we didn't come from education. We had Timbuktu. We had the first schools. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that we can understand this is where we came from, and that's where we got to get back to, because we're not there right now.
Yeah, we really do, because school is really our schools today. It's at the bottom of the list of all the industrialized, civilized countries. We get miseducation, so it's important for families, particularly black families, and this has nothing to do with us hating on anybody else. It's about us learning our history so that we can come out of the struggle. And once people are on an economic and social footing, and you have that leverage, you will not have all of this hate and chaos. Because believe me, it is enough to go around in this world. God didn't put it out here and say, oh, this is all for you, and you're supposed to be over here at my knees becking for some crumbs. No, it wasn't meant to be that way. But man made it that way. So with that being said, we're going to take another break, and we will be back.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Okay, we are back, and we have a great discussion today in this fourth week of celebrating Black History Month. We have with us today our two guests, L Poole and Imani Akil. And we are talking about We Are Black History, showcasing youth who are continuing the legacy. And we want to talk just a little bit more, because we have a little time left, about the Oscars that's coming up this weekend. So what's you guys' take on the Oscars? We know that television has really not always looked at black people in equal light, or given us roles sometimes that we would be proud of. But people have to work, people have to eat, people have to keep a roof over their head. So sometimes they took on jobs that they may not have taken otherwise, given an equal footing in that industry. So what do you guys think about what Will Smith has said? And I want to say something about Will too before you give me that, because I recall Will making a statement one time, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, something to the effect that his music would always be clean. And this man has made millions. So that question you said about where will the consciousness take us today, it can take us far. I mean, it can take us over the top, actually, with the music. So with that said, what do you think about what's going on in Hollywood in the film industry and the Oscars this I think it comes on Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken.
It's hard to put my finger on it, to be honest with you. Hollywood is exactly what it is. Hollywood on both sides. It's kind of hard to find the reality of it. In regards to, like, you know, our I guess our black actors and actresses, you know, I definitely feel they have a voice in what they have a valid point and concern and issue and all of that. I feel like it speaks for itself. You know, you have a movie called what is it, The Gods of Egypt, that's coming out, and it's an all-white cast.
Right.
You know, I just heard. I mean, they had an issue when Idris Elba was considered to play James Bond.
Right.
But then I hear that they have this white guy playing Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yes.
That he didn't want. Michael Jackson said he didn't want that.
And,
Right.
you know, it's just so blatant that it's how I don't even know how to comment on it, because it's just right. I mean, it's right there in my face.
Right.
You know, it just feels like disrespect at this point.
And what's the woman's name? Stacey Dash, that said we don't need BET.
I mean, and then you have people like Stacey Dash. You know, and I have for my lifetime crush, by the way, and she has this, you know, these things to say. So I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it. I try not to dabble too much into Hollywood, but I do feel that we need our just due. I feel like we have the most talented actors and actresses in the field, in the game. You know, and I feel like some of them is you know, got what they deserve, but I feel like a lot of them are still getting looked over. It's still dominantly controlled by, you know.
Right, and that's why it's important to create your own. I think it's a good thing to have BET and any of the other
Russell Simmons
black
was
outlets.
was trying to start his own awards show. I read an article about that. So I mean, I think it needs that. It needs Will Smith to start his own.
Oh yeah.
I think he has the pull to do it.
Yeah.
You
know. What do you think, Karen?
I think I heard a lot of people talking about the Oscars and saying, you know, so what? Forget the Oscars. They shouldn't worry about the Oscars. And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but acting, you know, a little bit, definitely not on that level whatsoever, but just understand the industry. Acting is all about branding yourself. Really, every actor is not even on the same level acting wise, but it's like, if I can brand my name, Kevin Hart brands his name.
There
you know, certain people brand their name.
That's true.
And it's all right. And not even that he's that strong of an actor compared to other people. He has done a bomb job at like branding his name.
He's marketed himself
very well,
perfectly.
Very well. Now watch this. I ask y'all at the table. Everybody seen 12 Years of Slavery?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay. Name one person who was in it that you know of.
I didn't see it.
Do you guys know any
the
actors
main
who
character? I can't even remember his name, and I've seen him in a lot of things.
See, when I ask the question, most people know about Lupita, who wasn't the main character because she won an Oscar for it. Immediately, it brands your name, which means after that, you didn't see him go on to do a ton of stuff. You saw the media following her, who was a supporting actress, to go on to do a ton of stuff, which means she got more opportunities for movies. She got more money. And so you think about that, and you think about all these white actors who get nominated for these Oscars, and they win these Oscars, and then they overlook these African American actors who, to me, do a brilliant job. I think Will Smith did a pretty good job in Concussion. But when you overlook them and you decide to give the awards to these white actors, immediately their names are branded. They have more opportunities for more films. They have more opportunities for more money, more resources. You know, so for actors, black actors in Hollywood who's still trying to push through a very, you know, discriminating industry, you know, they do it for a particular reason. Not that we want to be in the Oscars or strive for it just to be in the Oscars, but it does help your career. But with that being said, we know now as black people, you guys, how Hollywood is so, it discriminates on every level. You know, where they have given the Oscars in the past for several roles for black people, it has been like demeaning roles.
It has been.
You know,
true.
And so if it's the time right now. Like I said, it's an awakening across the board. Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, the rest of the celebrities out there, it's time to put our money where our mouth is.
Yes.
And our resources and our time,
true.
And create our own. Even BET is owned by Viacom, which is, you know, owned by,
That's
not
right.
us. Is part of that 6 who own 90%.
Right.
But you know what? We got to be like Nigeria. You know, don't get me wrong, Nigeria got a lot of money, but they have Nollywood going on. They say, let me put my money into my people.
Right. The
films weren't even starting out that great, but you starting to see a slow progression with it, and they're reaching the audience.
India has Bollywood, and Nigeria has Nollywood. Yes.
Yeah, and we need to come up with something Blackwood,
Blackwood, or whatever.
And there's
Black American Wood.
And there's a multitude of glamorous black people on that red carpet every single year.
Right.
Nollywood, dark black people.
Black, beautiful, right?
Yes. So the money is there. So I'm
Nollywood.
with you.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth
And
is,
let's do
Hollywood black people, and do your own. Stop depending upon other people.
Right.
And with that said, we are about
to
wrap it up. So, final thought.
Just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I just want to say one thing. There is an Al-Kiblon Culture Center. It is the African Culture Center in Pasadena. The address is 1435 North Raymond. We have a lot of classes like African Jump Circle classes, and we have aerobics and dance classes. Right now there is an art gallery going on between Tuesday and Friday. There's the artist Emerson Terry, he does artwood carvings, African artwood carvings. It's pretty cool stuff.
And they can reach you at your website quickly.
They can reach you on my website, truespitters.com, and any social media, Imani Akil, that's Imani Akil, at Twitter and Instagram. It's all the same.
Facebook. Okay, Kara?
And if this brother is putting out artists like Kendrick Lamar or shaping them, invest in them. Send him some money. Read that.
And we're going to be playing some of his artists. We had planned to do one today, but we didn't get it on in time. So we will next time. Next week. Next time we will do that.
And Kara, how can we find you?
The Great Griot. You can go to YouTube and just type in The Great Griot, and that's Griot, or go straight to the web at www.thegreatgriot.com.
And you can find us at all social media, and our YouTube channel has all of our great interviews that we've done with guests from all over the world. That's Aim to Purpose Radio. And you can go to my website, louisehicks.biz, and you can migrate to every one of our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it all. And this weekend, come out and join us for the Stop Psychiatric Abuse, 12:30 p.m. at the Community Center, Scientology Community Center at 8039, I believe that's the address, South Vermont in Los Angeles, where we will continue to push for initiatives to stop the psychiatric drug abuse. So come out at 12:30 p.m. this Saturday, February 27th. And you have anything, Ken?
No, we want to thank Imani Akil and L Poole for being our guests. Kara, 2 weeks in a row.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yes,
thank you both.
And we're going to be having you back
Absolutely.
with us. And thank you so much. And with that said, always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose. Until next week.